Welcome back to Connect and Transform. In today's video, I'm going to talk about WORDLE because in a future video, I might be writing some code to try out different strategies and see if there is a measurable difference between them. So in this game, there's an answer word it's an English word, and it's also a subset of all possible five-letter words. And all acceptable five-letter words are most likely a subset of actual five-letter English words. So the idea is there's a word, you've got to guess it, and you get some feedback on whether the letters are in the correct position, or if they're in the word but not in the correct position, or if they're not in the word. So typically I will take one of a few different strategies. I'll either try to guess common letters like E, which often goes with A, or I'll just go for maybe O and U, or maybe I'll go for a word that is primarily consonants, like plum, or maybe I will do a shotgun approach where I'm purposely guessing likely incorrect words to guess as many different letters as possible in the first 2, 3, or 4 tries, and then I try to get the answer on the 5th or 6th. In other words, you try to gain as much information as possible and you don't care about how many guesses it takes. And other times you are trying to just get it as quickly as you can in the fewest number of guesses. And so let's go ahead and try this. And so I'll talk about the feedback you get. Okay, so the grays mean that this particular letter does not exist in the answer. The yellows mean that the letter does exist in the answer, but not in that position. And we don't have any greens. So in this case, I'm going to continue forward with a shotgun approach. So there's 4 words that I've found organically that I like to use because they have completely disjoint sets of characters. Okay, so now we know that there is a Y in the position 5, but I'm going to continue with the shotgun approach. And so at this point, I've guessed 4 words that have 20 different letters. We can see in the keyboard down lower that the only ones left include Q, Z, and X, which are not very common, and then also E, which is very common, and that's intentional. So I purposely tried to find words that not only had no overlap in their characters, but also left either the least or the most common letters, because I figured that would make it easiest for me to figure out what the word might be. And so I'm going to guess gully here, and that is correct. So it is entirely possible that a word might have multiple of the same letters. For example, the answer might be mummy, M-U-M-M-Y, and so that's an example of actually 3 of the same letter in the answer that happens to be a consonant. Or, for example, the answer might be Erie, which has 3 vowels. And actually, this was the perfect example to use for the point I was about to make. So if we look here at this word, I guessed E 3 times, and we happened to get 3 different colors. So what does this mean? Because one of them was gray, that means we've exceeded the number of E's that actually exist in the answer. And because 2 of them were non-gray, there are precisely 2 in the answer. And of those 2, one of them was green. So there is an E in this position number 2, or index 1. But there is no E in this first position because it's yellow. So we know that there are exactly 2 E's. And so, I was going to guess fever because it keeps the green E in the same position. But we've already guessed the R, and we know that there's no R. Well, here, maybe just for the sake of guessing 2 doubles, I'm going to guess level. Okay, so none of the L's are non-gray, so there is no L. But we do know the positions of the E's. And now I'm thinking, because we don't have that much information, I kind of want to guess a word with a lot of consonants, like maybe that one. Okay, so we gained quite a bit now. We know there's a T in position 5. Theoretically, there could be a T in positions 1 or 3 if there happened to be such a word. We also know there's an S, so it's either something, E-S-E-T, like, oh, I was going to say reset, but we've already guessed R. But it could be, for example, B-set, or it could be S-E something E-T. I'm trying to think if there is such a word. Maybe there is, but I'm going to guess that. Okay, there we go. We got it. So yeah, one of my ideas is to just literally play the same 4 words: plum, crack, ghost, and windy. It's actually pretty surprising that I'm not getting a lot of feedback. Wow, that's very uncommon. Um, so now if we look down at the bottom, we know that's PI. There could be another P, there could be another I. But we know that it could be from this Q, E, J, V, X, or Z. I was going to say pixel, but it can't be pixel. We've already guessed L. It could be pixie. And it is. Okay, so that kind of illustrates to you what my shotgun approach does, is even in a case like this, where you only get 2 letters out of it, because it leaves you only with the least and most common letters, a surprising amount of the time you can guess it immediately on guess number 5, and if not, you can usually get it on guess 6. I think my record right now, I played 50 games and I won all 50 using this strategy. And I think I just stopped because I was tired. Maybe in the future, I'll have a stream where I show that shotgun approach and we see how many times it works. Let's see, I must have closed the window that said that I won. Yeah, there we go. I can play it again. But the idea is I'm going to write some code that uses a couple of these different strategies, and we'll see if we can A, get it to function, and then B, see if when we run it over hundreds or thousands of iterations, if there's a measurable difference in strategy. So thanks for watching.